Hey sports fans, what's going on? Christian Pedersen, Coach Jack Klein. Thank you for sticking with us well later into the week than you're used to waiting for your golf dosage. We promise we will make it up for you as we have hundreds of thousands of names and numbers and letters to talk about there. Coach, we're into the home stretch finally. Can I say that, we've transitioned into the back third now of the season. The Masters are over, so it's done. We're done talking about pro golf on any level. It's now all eyes are on San Diego high school golf. And from an somewhat outsider's perspective compared to you, I would say that this season has been very interesting. Not necessarily the disproportionate top-heavy runaway train of Torrey Pines winning it all.
Right.
There are a lot of individuals in the mix. There are some fun stories that the D2, D3 team up. So much to get to. This is the episode where we really start to actually dive into who are our county leaders, who are we looking at to really be the cream of the crop. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely, and as you mentioned, we're down to our last couple of weeks now, so that'll be, then we'll start the play-ins and we'll be right into CIF, so now's the time. And you had asked before and mentioned more recently too that, to some of the players as the season goes along, do their scores start to pick up a little bit, and we're really seeing it, especially the last week. Really fun. Although it wasn't in league play, Cameron Sisk, for example.
That's a great jumping off point.
There we go. He put everybody on notice. I'm sure it isn't widely known, but he had a 59 the other day at Steel Canyon, which is crazy good. So certainly a personal best. But when you can shoot down there, it's only been done a few times on tour. That's a pretty special day.
So that's where you start talking about the quantifiable. These kids are already golfing at that next level where it's we're standing on a baseball field where there's always a Francis Parker kid or two who is a highly touted prospect, but you're not looking at that kid at short saying that kid's already making Major League Baseball double plays.
Right.
With someone like Cameron Sisk putting up that 59, you're like that is borderline pro level golfing already.
Well, it's.
I don't want to overhype it, but you're looking at he's making the big boy shots.
You got to make all the shots, and there aren't a lot of people that can put up a score like that at his age. So yes, there's a long ways between high school golf and professional golf.
Maybe I'm making a little bit of a missed analogy.
I think it's great. It's just we're always surprised by the players that make it, and some of those that don't make it. We think they're sure bets. So.
I do like this though, that there is a second Sisk brother involved in this whole equation. How's his season going?
Yeah, great. His brother Parker had two nice rounds. He had a couple of 32s and a 36 in his last three matches. So, 4 under, 2 matches. That's some fine play. So. They'll be there at the end of the season as individuals. Valhalla may not make it as a team, but they certainly will as individuals. So,
well, let's dive into this. However you want to get started, okay. Lead me through this.
Well, let's start with D3 then.
Let's do it.
D3, this Coastal League, we've got the top 4 D3 teams, our Coastal League teams.
La Jolla Country Day, Santa Fe Christian, Bishops, Pack Ridge. Those are 4 teams that he's talking about in the Coastal League. Yeah,
and again, we were kind of focusing on scores a little bit today. So Rodrigo Duran had a nice 33 against Valhalla the other day. Parker shooting 32. Santa Fe Christian, again, they have their Matt Almquist and Spencer Ryan had 35s, subpar rounds, which is great. Scotty Latimer, who's the #1 player over at Bishops, had a 35 in their match. Pack Ridge has a young man who, unfortunately, we're not going to see in CIF because he's not going to get enough matches in. So here's a situation where you have a young man that's really... he's a freshman. He is an exceptional player, but because he is playing, multiple tournaments around the country, that's taking a priority over his high school
minimum required
golf. But he shot a 35 against Parker Daviara.
So Alex Yang, definitely a name to look out for, though, in the future, because you're short 2 or 3 rounds. You make that up in sophomore through senior seasons.
There's he may commit more in the coming year. It may fit more into his schedule. We'll just have to see. So good player there.
Got to round it out, though, with a little bit of, we talked so much about Coastal. Let's go completely South Bay and a little bit inland. Talk about Mater Dei Catholic. They got a pair of golfers, Adrian Soriano and Jorge Petro.
Yep.
I love playing the devil's advocate of, oh, wouldn't it be nice for some outliers like Sisk or Soriano from Mater Dei to come in and just break up that domination of the Coastal League?
Well, in singles, those players are going to be there at the end of the season.
Yeah.
As teams, probably not going to see that.
I understand that not as a team, but as an individual, just to say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You look at that leaderboard and you go, that makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense.
Right.
Wait, what? That makes sense, that makes sense, that makes sense.
It's fun. They've moved up to the number 5 spot, and so it's fun to see these. Again, we've talked about it often, but I love seeing the individual players having an opportunity in golf.
Oh my goodness, the finals weekend with you is just as enjoyable, if not more enjoyable and dynamic than any other finals weekend I get paired up for, between football, baseball, basketball, whatever. Just because of that factor that we're talking to people in the clubhouse at the end of the first day where it's like, I'm going to win this one. I'm 8 strokes out, but I know that everyone else is going to collapse, and I'm going to stay on par. It's just such a crazy close to the finish.
It's fun.
Let's move up to D2.
Got it.
LCC and Kento Yamawaki is having himself. He's having the best year of his life in terms of golf?
Well, certainly in high school, but that's nice to be a freshman and doing that. So, but he had a 32 at Fairbanks in his match against Torrey, so the cream rising to the top there, playing the top school, and he put on a clinic himself, so great to see. And, of course, as we would expect that during CIF, he'll be the one to beat. Not
to put too much pressure on a freshman or anything.
That's right. And we've got Cathedral Catholic in the number 2 spot, Sage Creek. It's fun to see Hayden Knudsen over there shot his season low 36, and even par is terrific. When
you talk about season low, you talk about guys from Valhalla, from Bishops, from La Jolla, all these different schools actually starting to shoot their best. And you started the whole podcast off with, I had asked you about playing better, getting your scores progressively lower. Are you starting to be able to lock in the confidence on some of these people and be like, that's not an outlier of a round. That's where they have progressed to. I am confident that I will see something close to that in the finals.
I do think that's correct. And I think that we've talked before about the 9-hole matches and how some of the players aren't used to playing 9-hole matches because really their tournaments are 18 holes.
It's unforgiving at 9.
And 9 just doesn't forgive. You're right. And so it's fun to see them understanding that and figuring out how to play the 9 holes and more successful in their scoring and playing it. So
you're looking at these going, I think that we can see somewhere around that 32 out of Kento Yamawaki. I think we can see somewhere out of that 59 out of. You're not saying I'm going to back off and yes, that was a good one, but I don't expect him to be able to golf that in the playoffs.
59 might be a once in a lifetime. That's something that he may never, in fact, have again in his entire life. But then again, he may. I mean, you're
really nailing down the opinion on that one. You're really driving home the confidence index there.
But it also shows that he knows how to score, and I think that he had a 64, I believe it was, in a tournament weekend before or so. So, I mean, the young man knows how to go low, and by knowing how to go low, I wouldn't be surprised if he couldn't shoot a 65, 66, something like that in CIF. But it's golf. Every day is a different day, and lots of things come into play and things we don't think about, whether it's sleep or diet or food or water or whatever.
Or which way the wind is literally
There you
blowing.
go, that day. Sure.
Want to talk about Adam Moss, the younger brother of Jackson Moss, who's already kind of made a little bit of a name for himself at Point Loma this year. His younger brother, Adam, golfing a 36. and I hate having to bring up matches that happen against your Parker team, but another great round from an individual on a team that is not matching the pace.
Yeah, and Point Loma is, you know, they're moving up now in D2, so I'm excited for them. And Adam, as we said, I don't know, Parker's bringing it out of them, so I think that's awesome. You know, I think that's awesome.
Look, the karma goes full circle.
There you go.
You came into it saying that this was going to be a growth year and a building year for Parker.
Yeah.
You take your L's here, and then you come back next year and you go, no. We have sports karma on our side this year. So
we're hoping so. But I was really, particularly proud of Adam. I mean, there was an unfortunate event that took place during that match. You know, player not in the tournament had hit an errant shot, and that struck his brother Jackson that we've been talking about, and so he had to drop out of the match. And so I think everybody was a little concerned about that, and certainly concerned about him. He's doing fine. You know, just a deep bruise and a little swelling. But the fact is that, you know, I'm really proud of his brother for stepping up and playing through that when I know that was on his mind. So great day for him.
Let's move up to Division I. Start with Torrey Pines and James Song, who has really seems like he's closing hard this season.
Yeah, he's starting to round in. We'd talked about it, and we thought that we would expect to see him up there when it came to the end of the season, and sure enough, he's rounding into form now. Had a nice 32 at Fairbanks the other day, and I think he's one of those top 4 or 5 that we'll be looking at for the individual title.
Now, you got an interesting name on here. We have not talked a bunch about the Del Norte Nighthawks, but you got a pair of golfers highlighted there in Eric Diller and Jared Edelor.
Yep.
Did I say that correctly?
Yep.
Awesome.
Well done.
So you got a pair of golfers there highlighted. What do you want to bring up about them?
Again, they shot par rounds, and they're drifting up, although you know, La Costa Canyon, which we'll get to, is number 2 overall, or number 3 if you count the B team for Torrey, but Del Norte is up there, and I expect them to be contending for a shot to go to regionals.
Let's round it out with Carlsbad, San Marcos, Arby. So all that North County goodness right here. You got a bunch of players highlighted. Let's start with the Carlsbad.
Right, Carlsbad. You know, it's fun to be able to say that. Someone shot their season best, and a 37 for Tony there. I think that's really awesome.
San Marcos, Drew Norby, and Tyler Carroll. They seem like a pretty dynamic combo for the Knights. Could they be a threat?
They're their 1-2, and again, their index isn't under par, but they're playing close to that, and I think they're having a really nice season, and certainly leading their team. So great to see, for sure.
We're going to close this out with a little tap on the iPad to make sure that the light comes back on. And Rancher Bernardo, Aiden Choi, and Brian Mai. Is this the right note to end on? Are these a couple kids that everyone needs to know?
Again, they're in that same, you know,
they're in that mix.
They're knocking on the door, and they're getting great experience, and they're playing well, and they'll be there at CIF as well.
So for the individual playoffs coming into CIF, it sounds like maybe 1 through 5 are kind of indistinguishable, and then what's that next gap? Is it 5 through 20? Is it 5 through 10? Is it?
It's probably north of 10, really. You know, anyone in that area can be there at the end. Also, you know what? It's golf, and I know we've said that on more than one occasion. But at any given moment, someone can have their best day. And I think that's really exciting.
So let's just, I'm gonna press you on a number here. Give me a total number of guys that you say are in contention, who are in the mix, who you'd say going into the last month of the season, you could pick out of a hat the way that you do at any golf tournament, like you say, because it is golf. You could pick out of that squad of, 10, 12, 7, 3, 15, 28, however many players it is that you could say, I would not be totally shocked if they walked away with the individual title.
Well, I think you're looking at the top 12 or 15. I mean, Cameron, I think, is number 6. Parker's maybe number 12 as an individual, and Forgive me if I got that wrong, but again, you know, here's players that can go under par. So when it's all said and done, they can get it done.
Well, when it's all said and done, there will be one champion for the individuals, one champion for the teams, and we will have a lot of fun getting there because everything just seems to ratchet up. I know that there's not the crowd noise and fans out there, but the golfers know what's on the lines in these last few weeks of the season, so they seem to get that little bit of separation, close hard like a James Song, someone like that. So we will be back. We got 2 more of these, I believe, in the regular season, and then we transition into postseason mode, and it all ends at Admiral Baker.
Yes, sir.
Oh my goodness! We got about a month until that happens, and it is going to be so much fun. For Coach Jack Klein, I'm Christian Pedersen. We will see you next week, golf fans.